All right, lead heads. We are back. We appreciate your patience. I know it's been a while, but we are bringing you lots and lots and lots of awesome interviews from the 2019 SHOT Show from the official Leadquarters at Buck Knives booth. And joining me today to help ring in our 2019 SHOT Show interviews, we've got our good buddy Bill Doe. Bill, welcome in. You are not.
Of course not.
You're happy that you're off for a couple of days. That's what you're happy about.
Well, yeah, my God. 2 days off because of the weather. This is great. I feel like I'm back in 5th grade, as you said.
You were off because the government shut down, and now you're off because of, was it weather?
Yeah, -7 outside right now.
Oh, my gosh. Government shuts down 20. For the weather now, huh? What
Yeah,
happened to rain, sleet, or snow? Oh, is that just the mail?
I think that's just a post office. But they even stopped letter carriers from going out today.
Very good. And also joining us this episode, two very special guests. We're bringing back our good buddy Brooksy from Buck Knives. Brooksy, welcome back.
Hey, Vince, how's it going?
Yeah, man. So you guys are up there in Idaho. Bill's in Michigan. He's got negative, what'd you say, Bill? 5, 6 degrees?
Around there with -24 to 30 wind chill.
Oh, my God.
It's awesome.
How's Idaho's weather?
Actually not too bad. I'd say we're probably right around the freezing mark right now, aren't we?
Yeah.
Okay, so you guys aren't that cold.
No, 22 this morning coming in, but that's nothing compared to what Billy's got.
Poor Billy.
Yeah.
You guys also heard another voice there, and as you're hearing this right now, this will be our first time introducing him to you lead heads, but he's actually been on the show before. We had him on during the 2019 SHOT Show, and he did several interviews with us, was a great co-host. We've got CJ Buck. What's up, CJ?
Not the temperature.
He is the man at Buck Knives. He's the name behind the brand. 4th generation.
Yeah,
wow.
4th generation.
4 generations of Buck Knives since 1902.
Yeah. No, that's true. My great-grandfather, apprentice blacksmith, making knives on the side, and that was the beginning of Buck Knives.
That started the whole family legacy right there.
Yes, it did.
What's really cool is just about everybody that came up to the booth to talk, introduce themselves, guests that we had on the show, their first knife was a Buck knife. You know, without fail, I don't think anyone that's talked about the knives that they had a knife didn't say that Buck Knives was the first knife or that they had got it from their father or their grandfather.
No, it's, we enjoy the fact that Buck was a lot of people's first knife. But we want to make sure that Buck's their next knife.
Which you guys are really stepping it up. And I think we should just probably go ahead and cut into that interview that we kicked SHOT Show off with, and that was with CJ. So let's cut into that interview, guys, and he's going to touch on the history, a little bit of the history, and, of course, we hit him with the new guy question. But real quick, lead heads, go do me a favor. Go over to Right On Optics, the official optics of Talking Lead. That's RITON, rightonoptics.com, and check out their new Mod 7 1:8 and 4:32 by 56. You guys are going to love those new scopes they've got. Also, check out their red dots and those awesome binoculars you hear me talking about all the time. And also, a couple of episodes ago, we had Chad from Kel-Tec Weapons on, and he was telling us about their new pistol they've got out. It's in a .22 long caliber. Really cool. Shoots great. Had the opportunity to shoot that. And their new KS7 12-gauge shotgun, the single-tube bullpup 12-gauge shotgun. Guys, go to keltecweapons.com. Check them out as well. All right, lead heads, the moment you have been waiting for. We are at the 2019 SHOT Show. We have arrived. We didn't bust. SHOT Show or bust, right, Pepper? And we are at the official Leadquarters, Buck Knives, ladies and gentlemen. And we have the man himself, CJ Buck, joining us. Welcome in, CJ.
Lefty, good to be here.
So I'm sure a lot of you lead heads know who CJ is, but for those who have been living under a rock, tell them about yourself, CJ.
Well, so Buck Knives, family business, started by my great-grandfather back in 1902. He was an apprentice blacksmith who made knives on the side in Leavenworth, Kansas. My grandfather ended up in San Diego, California, joining the Navy, and just fell in love with the area.
Right.
So at some point in the mid-40s, my great-grandfather, who'd been hand-making custom knives for his life, moved in with his oldest son in San Diego, and the two of them were H.H. Buck & Son Lifetime Knives. And the story was that the knives were guaranteed for life. If you had any problem, they'd fix it, make it better, make it okay. But it was all mail-order custom knife. My great-granddad passed away in 49. My grandfather kept it going in San Diego with my father, my uncle, and my grandmother's younger brother, Chuck Chapter. So the four of them would make knives, sharpen saws, and tune and repair lawnmowers.
Wow.
So my dad was the San Diego Sears Craftsman lawnmower repair guy.
He's one of the originals.
One of the originals. So we incorporated in 1961 with 12 people. In 1964, we introduced the 110 Folding Hunter, which is when most people think of an iconic Buck product, it's the 110 Folding Hunter, brass on both ends, folding lock back.
Right. My dad had several of those.
Oh, I think those knives have cleaned more deer, more bear, more elk, more animals than anything else other than chip flint, probably.
Sure.
So that knife really put us on the map. We grew like a weed. We relocated in 2005 from San Diego, California to Post Falls, Idaho. So California was just becoming a less than friendly place for manufacturing. So we just couldn't compete cost-wise with the rest of the knife business.
Right.
And we realized our customers didn't really care to pay more for a knife so that we could live in San Diego, California. So we relocated to Post Falls, a great city. Tomorrow at 1:30, we'll have the governor of Idaho in our booth.
Oh, yeah.
So it is, I will tell you, I never had the governor of California come visit. But in Idaho, I've had every senator, every congressman, we only have two, every congressman and every sitting governor has come to visit Buck Knives in Post Falls, Idaho. Yeah. So we're here at SHOT Show. Love to be here. It is
a great show. I mean, it is everything that you guys have heard about and more. It's until you've experienced, it's hard to really describe.
Depending upon what you bring in, if you're coming in to do business or if you're just coming in to be a kid in a candy shop, everybody puts out their best stuff. So we have all our new products out here, all the gun companies, rifle companies, tactical accessory companies. Everybody puts out their new products. It's the best they have to offer. You're seeing stuff that's not even introduced yet.
Right.
So
first to see kind of stuff.
Yes, it's a lot of fun just to see where the directions everybody's going.
Yeah, it is. And we were talking a little bit earlier. We did a live broadcast earlier, so I hope you guys tuned into that. But as you're listening to this, let's talk about some of the new offerings that Buck Knife is doing, and I want to talk about that Ebony program as well.
Okay. So I'd mentioned in the live broadcast that our focus is on value. So it's on functionality and value. My grandfather he just couldn't stand gimmicks. He didn't like unneeded bells and whistles. So everything he did with a knife was all focused on, if it didn't add to function, he didn't add it to the knife. Yeah. So what we've done is we've taken a very hardcore approach to functionality. So we've taken our 110, 112, which we're famous for, we talked about earlier, and we've put those into a value product line where we've taken S30V steel and meshed that with a G10 handle, or we've meshed that with a linen micarta handle, so that you have, it's not real sexy, and yet it kind of is.
It kind of is, yeah.
It's just...
the micarta linen is...
It just looks good.
It's got a great look to it. The texture, yeah.
The texture is wonderful. Linen micarta is a great handle material. It actually has, because it's so porous, the oils of your hand don't build up on the surface. They actually absorb in. Absorb in and move, so that the surface, it never gets slippery.
Yeah.
It's a way better material than plastic.
Yeah, no doubt.
And then you had mentioned the Ebony project. Really, really excited about the Ebony project. So the 110, 112, the folding hunter and the ranger, we have been using a resin-impregnated laminated birchwood for handles, which is a great material.
Right.
So we've been using that since since the early 80s.
Oh, that long.
That's been our handle material. Up until then, we used real ebony. And because of the deforestation issues and the rainforest,
it became harder to get. Yeah.
It became harder to get. We decided that we would move to a material that was more controllable. Mm-hmm. Well, what's happened is a gentleman by the name of Bob Taylor Guitars,
yeah.
in order to make sure that their acoustic guitars had the proper wood, and knowing that from a conservation standpoint that forest management, sustainable forest harvest is really doable.
Right.
They went to Africa and trained a village of people to manage their local forest so that it would become completely sustainable.
Nice.
And there's so much so much to that. There's so much methodology that here in the United States, our forestry industry has done amazing work in how to optimize a harvest and have a regrowing forest coming right in behind it.
Just keep it circle going.
Keep that circle going, and it's very doable and it works.
The great thing about what he's doing also and what you guys are doing is you're providing an economy, a way of life for these people that they wouldn't normally have had.
Well, normally because it's such of a desperation element, that normally the people just denude the local landscape to get every ounce of value that they can possibly get, and then they get paid a fraction for that. Mm-hmm. And so it's terrible, it's unsustainable. So what he's done is he's come in, he has partnered with these villagers to do a sustainable harvest, a whole methodology, and it's going to be there for them.
Generation after generation.
And he's sharing that value with them. From a training standpoint, education standpoint, food, water, a whole way of life.
Right.
Just kudos to somebody who thinks that big to do that.
Yeah, and we're going to be lucky enough to have him on the show this week.
Yes, sir.
So we're looking forward to that. That's going to be a good time. So hopefully you'll co-host with me on that one.
I'd be happy to.
Okay, that'll be awesome. That'll be great. So we were getting into Cerakoted on our live, and it kind of petered out on us. So we want to pick that conversation up here also. So you guys are getting into doing some Cerakoting.
So Cerakoting it's a ceramic bake-on paint. Because it's a paint, we are completely unlimited in our choice of color.
Color, pattern, everything. Yeah.
Everything.
Sky's the limit.
There's so much. So not only is it a beautiful, it's a really sexy coating. It's just a gorgeous coating. It adds, in the spirit of my grandfather, it adds functionality. So this ceramic coating, once it's baked on, it provides a wonderful bearing surface. It contributes to corrosion resistance.
Right.
And so if you've got moving parts, the gun industry's done a lot of work on the surface lubricity of these parts. So if you've got moving parts like a knife action, that knife's going to function better with the Cerakote than it will without.
Right.
And not only that, if you've got a blade material, so as we get into some of these custom blade materials, you sacrifice a little corrosion resistance to pick up a lot of edge retention and ductility. The Cerakote on a high-end steel gives you back that corrosion resistance.
It balances it back out.
It really does. It just makes for an amazing product. We're super proud. We have brought the machinery. We have a robotic application inside our company.
Okay.
So we have brought this application inside our company. It's one of the things we've been doing. We've had a capital investment program within our company to bring some of these processes that we were outsourcing, we've brought them in where we control it. So we've done our own heat treating since the late 60s. Total control over that, super proud of it. We've brought in CNC machining, we've brought in high-speed routers. We now brought in the Cerakote where we control it, we own it.
You can get exactly what you want,
when you want,
how many you want.
If it screws up, it's fixed in a heartbeat.
Right.
Where that type of control of making sure that what we deliver totally functions.
Well,
Anyway, that's just a key for
it
us.
also your quality control. You've got
Yes, sir.
you've got everything under your roof where you can control and keep the quality.
It's
100%.
it just makes a huge difference when you control it,
Right.
and you care, because we're not just here to put out a red something or other.
Something
I mean, this is
red,
a red
yeah.
buck knife.
Red,
it's
blue,
got to function. Yeah.
But talk about which line you're putting the Cerakotes on and what they
Okay.
can expect with that.
So we have a compadre series that we were doing it's called a traction coat, but it was a powder coat, and we've eliminated all the powder coat, and now we're switching that line over to the Cerakote. Okay. Much better application. Well, we're also going to get back into doing. This is going to sound rambling, but we do a Packlight series, which is a skeletal knife series. And we used to do orange, because when you lay an orange knife down on the ground, you rarely lose it.
Right, it shows up. Yeah.
And so, but the traction coating, the powder coat, wasn't a good application, so we discontinued that. We're going to be bringing that back in the orange, because now the Cerakote, we can do yellow, we can do orange. We can make safety products.
You can put patterns on them and do all kinds of cool stuff.
And you talk about patterns. We can put one color on, mask it, and then spray another color on and have a multi-color background.
Color,
It's just the opportunities to do special things without losing 1 ounce of functionality.
Well, like you said,
really
it increases the durability and
yes.
the life of the knife.
So if we can get sexy without losing any function, we're on it.
Sexy.
Yeah.
Knives are sexy.
Yes, sir.
They are definitely sexy. So you took over how long ago?
I took over in the late 90s. So
Late
I
90s?
was in 1999.
Okay.
And so my father was still involved in the business, kind of in a semi-retired. So he was spending more time traveling. He was autographing knife blades. He was speaking at...
He was the face of the company.
He was the face of the company,
Yeah.
yeah. So he'd get on the road, he'd get in his car, and he'd leave for 6 weeks at a time. And he would drive. He hated flying. So he would drive, make these personal appearances. He'd make loops. He would speak at like Christian men's groups, because the Christian testimony is a big part of our business. So he would speak at wild game banquets, at church services, at men's meetings.
Just anywhere they'd have him.
Anywhere they'd have him. And then he'd do more secular things, grand openings.
Right.
So he had a wonderful time doing that.
Now, did you get to go on those trips with him occasionally?
I went on a couple.
Yeah.
He was when you put
You
him
probably
behind,
hated it, didn't you?
when you put him behind the wheel of a car. I mean, if you had to use the bathroom, it was kind of tough luck, because he was on a mission to get somewhere.
Get their itis.
He'd drive 15 to 16 hours in a day.
Oh my gosh.
The guy could cover some miles. But he passed away in 2015, and now my mother, Lori, she's on our board of directors.
Okay.
So she's kind of picked up the family.
She going to be in the face of the...
She is
going around doing the autographs.
She's been having some back surgeries and stuff, so she's been out of commission for about a year. But yeah, we're looking forward. She'll be back on the road.
She'll be back on her feet.
And representing.
Nice. Good deal. Now, she probably doesn't drive, right? She's not afraid of flying.
She's good to fly.
Okay.
Yeah.
She's a little more modern than
Yes, sir.
Daddy.
Yes, sir.
So the car that you drove around in with your dad, what was his car of choice?
His car of choice was the Lincoln Navigator.
Oh, okay.
That was his
Like
car of
that
choice.
big boy.
He did. He'd put. Oh, he would probably put 50 to 60,000 miles a year on a car.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah. And then he'd trade him in and get another
Get
one.
a new one. Yeah.
Get another one. Yeah.
It's ready to trade up.
In fact, I think my son inherited one of those.
Oh, he did?
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
cool. He should get
Yeah.
it Cerakoted.
Yeah.
Cerakoted. So I want to ask you, since this is your first time on our podcast, we've got a line of questionings that we ask our new guys.
Okay.
And it starts off, it's typically firearms related, but we'll keep it with knives, and we can work firearms in.
I like
you're a firearms guy too.
I like firearms.
You're a firearms guy too. What's your earliest memory or recollection of shooting a firearm, a gun?
Oh. I'm going to start with BB guns.
Okay, yeah, they count.
So we were out in the Borrego Desert in Southern California, and my dad pulled out these 2 Daisy BB guns,
Red
Ryder BB guns,
BB guns, yeah.
And so that's my first recollection of shooting.
How old were you?
I was probably 6, 7
Around
years
6 or
old.
Were you excited as all
I
get
was
out?
very excited. I had no idea it was coming.
Now, what were you shooting at? What kind of target? You have targets, or you just shooting out?
No,
in the air?
we were hunting. We were hunting grasshoppers.
Grasshoppers.
Yeah.
Shooting them between the eyes.
Yes, sir.
Jiminy Cricket.
But so
Do you still have those?
No, I don't.
Oh man,
I would
that be
love to have.
amazing
I
if you
wonder
still had
where those ended up.
Yeah.
My dad had a house fire, and so did I.
Oh,
and so you just lots of stuff gets lost that you don't even remember.
Right.
But no, don't have those. So growing up, we were not a hunting family. So you think about us in our industry that we'd grow up hunting. Really didn't. Hunting season, we weren't allowed to take vacations during hunting season because that was busy knife season.
That's top of the sales.
So I did a lot of saltwater fishing in the summer with my grandfather, who was the Navy. He was a salt. He loved the ocean.
Right.
So we did a lot of saltwater fishing in the summer. We did a lot of high mountain Sierra trout fishing in the summer, and we did skiing and dune buggies and motorcycles in the winter, out in the desert. So that was what we did. We didn't do any hunting. So I was probably 24 years old before my father approached me and said, "We've got some outdoor riders that want to take us on a hunting trip. And it's probably time for us to get out and actually experience."
Actually hunt?
What we hear stories about all the time.
Right, yeah.
And so we went out on an antelope hunt. Was our first Wyoming antelope hunt was our first hunt.
Okay.
And so I ended up with I drove up to Los Angeles, met Ed and Roy Weatherby, and got a Weatherby 270. That was my first
That's
rifle.
a nice first one
It
to
was
have.
nice. Fibermark Weatherby, which I lost in that house fire I was talking about.
Oh, dang. I was going to ask if you still had that.
No,
Oh.
and then I picked up a Remington 1100 special field 20 gauge.
20 gauge.
And so I had my rifle and my shotgun. So 24 years old, other than shooting 22 rifles,
Right.
I ended up with a Marlin semi-automatic 22 rifle. My uncle got for me way back when. And so, but those were my first hunting experiences.
Very nice. Now, did you get an elk on that hunt?
Antelope, yes, sir.
Or antelope?
I did.
Is antelope? Okay.
I got an antelope. So I'd never really been hunting before. We put the stock on this antelope. It was about a 300-yard shot. Dropped it with one shot.
Man, that's a hell of a first hunt right there.
And that took about 45 minutes. And I thought, I got this hunting thing.
This ain't nothing.
And then my next hunt was a mule deer hunt. So again, about an hour. It had snowed our first night. This was Montana. Snowed our first night, so the next day it's all fresh snow. Tracks are easy to. I can track animals in fresh snow.
It's fresh snow. Yeah.
I'm pretty proud of that. And we followed a group of tracks with a large group of does. It was in the rut. A big buck came out chasing the does. Dropped the butt. I mean, this was again 45 minutes, an hour into the first opening day. I got this hunt thing down.
This is so easy.
This is pretty easy. And then it's been hard ever since.
Ever since
ever since then, it's been hard.
It's gone downhill after that. Huh?
Yes, sir.
What's your favorite hunt you've been on? Most memorable?
My most memorable was I've got two of them, but one of them was with my son. So he was probably 8 or 9 years old, and we went on an elk hunt. So it was just he and I drove up to. It was in Utah, and near Park City, and we drove up, took the Suburban. He and I, just the two of us. A couple nights in hotels on our trip. I mean, it's just a great experience. But we went up, and for whatever reason, there were a bunch of sheep herders down below. And so we literally, they were driving elk to us the whole time.
Oh, wow.
I mean, we saw hundreds of elk bugling. I mean, I ended up taking a reasonable, kind of a small 5x5, but it was just a wonderful.
Just the scenery.
It's not in the trophy
experience.
as much, but the experience was unbelievable. And one evening, it was in the evening, and you could hear the sheep herder down below with the dogs, and we probably had 60, 70 elk just walk over the top of us.
Man.
So we were just sitting still,
You're just watching,
listening. It was too dark to. We were making a video, so it was too dark to video. So the hunting was. We weren't hunting anymore.
Yeah.
You were just experiencing, and to
soaking
me,
it in. That's amazing.
so that's that's probably my favorite memory.
You got that
he
on
was,
video? You did some video of that?
We did some video of that trip. Yeah, that was
cool.
through Majestic Outdoors with Mike Bybee, Mike and his brother Scott.
Yeah.
But it just the most amazing experience.
What knife were you carrying on that hunt? You remember?
Nope.
No,
probably I would probably say I was carrying the Vanguard, which is one of my favorite. It's a drop point hunting blade. It's the 192 and the 692. It's the 192s with a wood handle, 690s with the rubber handle, and I like the rubber is more functional, so I like the rubber handle.
You went with that one?
Yes, sir.
Very cool. So when it comes to pop culture, whether it's a movie, music, magazine, social media, YouTube, whatever.
Yep.
What is your go-to that is, and I'm going to change it a little bit for you, that's like outdoors related?
Boy, I am not completely sure I understood that question.
So what's your favorite movie? Let's do it this way.
Oh. Boy, that's hard. That's hard on a
Usually
cold turkey.
Usually I say, what's your favorite go-to that's gun related? So some people say like Heartbreak Ridge or what's the Wyatt Earp movie? Tombstone. They'll throw out Tombstone. Stuff
no,
like
I like
that.
both of those.
Yeah. There's some people that have thrown out bands, groups, things like that.
Now I'm
fired up.
so big. I'm a big time country western fan.
Okay.
So
you like the old ones?
No, I like the newer sounds sound a lot more like the rock and roll I grew up with.
Okay.
So I never really got into the super hard rock. So the ballad kind of rock, the Eagle kind of rock is that was more my style. And so a lot of the modern country western folk have captured some of that same energy. Okay. And it's uplifting.
Now, are you a musician also?
No, sir.
So
no, I'm hideous.
You seem to have some ties with the music industry, so.
We do. No, it's just a passion.
Just a passion.
Just love it, and really, I love the I love the family value aspect of modern day country.
Right.
Other than you get past the trying to get girls drunk in the front of your truck, but there's so much. There's so much family value and solid Americana.
Now I can't name artists or anything, but Tia can like rattle them off.
Yeah.
So.
No, my wife Heidi is a huge country music fan.
Likes country. Okay.
She does, and so being able to parlay these connections into getting backstage or getting to meet somebody personally is quite a thrill. Quite a thrill.
Make the most of it,
yes,
definitely. Sir. What about movie-wise? What would be your favorite movie? What's one that you just sit down and watch over and over and over and over and over again?
Well, other than other than being an overgrown teenager and talking about Star Wars and Lord of the Rings.
Oh, come on, please do.
But I really enjoyed Dances with Wolves was one of my favorite movies.
That's the first.
Nobody's
ever said that one.
I really, there's
Costner.
There's just a calm aspect.
Yeah, and there's a lot of beautiful outdoor scenes on that too.
It's an uplifting.
It's a really scenic movie.
It's sad too that you saw the end of an era.
Right.
And you realize, countries evolve, so, we can't have giant herds of bison crashing through everybody's backyard anymore today. But so as you watch a country evolve and a landscape evolve, you realize some things have to change. Something has to go.
Yeah. But at the same time, like you said, there are programs in place to where we can cultivate and keep that circle going, circle of life going.
I'm very involved with on the conservation side, so I'm a board member with the Boone and Crockett Club.
Okay.
I'm a regular member and a board member. I'm also a board member with the Mule Deer Foundation. Mm-hmm. So very, it's so important from a hunting standpoint that people understand, just like we were talking with the Ebony Project, there's a sustainability element that harvest is part of that sustainability.
Right.
So as you manage either forests or wildlife, there are things that so totally make sense and they so totally work,
Right.
and yet they're under attack. That the
hunting
very
and
thing that brought you an enormous success, the very thing that brought you to the point where there's so many deer now that you see them dead on the side of the road because cars can't dodge them. There's so many. They didn't used to be that way. I mean, at the turn of the century, animal populations were decimated.
Right.
And so this whole North American model of conservation with hunting and controlled harvest and
that's what a lot of these I don't call them environmentalists, but these these greenie weenies,
Yes, sir.
That condemn hunting and
they're way more focused on lawsuits than actually helping wildlife.
right. But what they don't understand is what the hunting community brings back, and that they are actually helping these environments and these ecosystems.
Yes, the successes that they look around and see right now were brought to them by hunters.
By hunters,
Yes, sir.
exactly.
Very much so.
And they refuse to recognize that.
So that is a passion of mine.
Yeah.
I'm
Well, that's
really
awesome.
passionate.
Yeah, you talked about the Mule Deer Foundation.
Yes, sir.
They just had a big event, didn't they? Just recently?
No, they've got one coming up. So
Is it coming up?
the
Okay.
Western Hunting Conservation Expo is in Salt Lake City. That will be, it's right around Valentine's Day, so it's like February 14th, 15th, 16th,
Okay.
17th, something like
There
that.
you go, Leadhead's a perfect thing to do with your sweetie. Take her to the...
Yes. You can let her buy you a Valentine's Day present.
Or you could buy her one as well.
Or you can buy her one there as well.
Yeah.
If she's into guns.
We got
you can-
several female leadheads, lady leadheads is what
Very
we call
good.
them, that listen to the show. So next question, I'll move on. What is your next bucket list? Gotta have, wanna have, whether it's a firearm, piece of kit, knife, maybe a vehicle. What are you looking at?
No, the next thing is it's a 308 AR platform.
Okay.
That'll be my next hunting rifle.
Now, is this one that you want to build yourself, or are you looking for?
I'm building it with a friend.
Oh, so you got it in the
building
works.
it, yeah. He's way more into this than I am when it comes to knowing what's best and what's not. So he's running shotgun for me.
Nice. So talk about some of the parts that you're putting on
see
there.
now, if he was here, he could walk you through. He could walk you through every one. All I know is it's going to have an 18-inch barrel. That's all I really know.
It's going to be set up for doing some hunting.
It's totally set up for hunting.
Okay.
Totally set up for hunting.
All right. Well, I would like to see that when you get it completed.
Very good.
I bet you do some sort of Cerakote on it too.
Yeah. And then in exchange for him building me this rifle, I bought a youth hunt for his son. So his son's going mule deer hunting in Montana, and I'm going to go with them. So it'll be great fun. That'll be later this year. Yes, sir.
That'll be cool. So I got a buddy, Nick Atkinson, and he does a lot of hunting down in the Texas area.
Yep.
So if you guys ever want to go hog hunting, let me know and we can set that up.
Oh, now you're talking my language. Yes, sir.
Bobcat hog hunting.
I took a Daniel Defense 300 Whisper out hog hunting from the back of a quad, doing a depredation hunt on a ranch, and it was full-on rat patrol. It was amazing. It took me 2 days to get the hang of it, but once I got the hang of it, hogs were unsafe.
Were you using night vision and suppressors?
No, this was just driving around during the day.
You hand hunted till you do it with the thermals, man.
Yeah, it's that you say what's on the bucket list. A hog hunt with the thermals is on the bucket list.
We can make that happen.
I'll take you up on that one.
So, price be damned, laws be damned. What would you do or what would you own? Sky's the limit. You could own anything. You could do anything.
Oh, that's
laws, no money, no object.
You know, I would
dream big.
I would probably buy a really nice yacht with 2 or 3 different smaller fishing vessels, and I would spend my life on the ocean fishing.
Nice.
That would be it.
I love saltwater fishing myself.
Stand-up tuna is my
Now, do you
ultimate
scuba
favorite.
dive also?
I do.
I see you as a scuba diver.
Yeah,
too.
it was a lot of fun. I
Love
used to
scuba diving.
abalone dive till that just got a little few and far between.
Right.
But so abalone and lobster diving are some of my favorite things.
Very cool. I think I'd be on that boat with you.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
That sounds like me. That's perfect. Last question. If you could spend the day at the range with anyone, whether they're a real person, still alive, maybe they passed, or a fictional character or group of people, who would you like to spend the day at the range with?
Chuck Mohini. He was a Vietnam sniper.
Okay.
And got into knives a little bit, got to know him and his wife a little bit, and learning to shoot. Learning to shoot by one of these individuals would be...
That would be, we've had a couple of people mention, some Vietnam sniper type guys. What? Say his name again?
Chuck Mohini.
Chuck Mohini. That
Yeah.
sounds familiar. I think I've heard that name before.
Yeah, I think they wrote a book about him, but just a super nice guy. But just I tend to not be patient enough. So these guys that can just sit there for hours, that's a whole different mindset. It's a whole different discipline.
Oh, it is.
Just respect the heck out of it. That to me, that's the most impressive.
So we're gonna have, and he's supposed to make an appearance. Charlie Melton.
Yes, sir. Met
Charlie?
him.
Yeah.
He came in through our facility.
Okay.
Super nice.
Yeah,
These
he's
guys,
a great
they're so humble. They're so friendly. They're such a pleasure.
The things that they've
me.
done, you'd never know.
Never know it.
You'd
You'd never know. They just look like a redneck.
But just the nicest,
but just the
most
nicest,
welcoming,
friendliest people.
dude. Yeah.
Yep.
So Charlie's going to be on. So you definitely want to co-host for that one as well.
You're going to have Commander Tom Coulter on.
Gonna have
I know,
Commander-
huge with the SEALs.
Right. We've got, like you said, the musician.
Yeah, we'll have Bob Taylor
Bob
coming
Taylor's
in.
coming in. Chrissy
Titus, who's
Titus is
just
coming in.
just a gorgeous little hunter. She's
Yep.
she's just amazing and really passionate about the conservation side too, which is really important.
Yeah. So we got a good mix for you guys coming up. Was there anything else that you wanted to leave with the Leadheads on our inaugural interview here before we kick things off?
Just welcome. It's a passionate show. People really care about the industry. They care about Second Amendment, about shooting, self-defense. Hunting, conservation. There's just a lot of passion. This is way more than just business.
Yeah.
And so that's why I think it's fun. It's fun hanging with people who are passionate.
Absolutely. And we appreciate you allowing us to set up the Leadquarters here in your awesome booth. And you guys stay tuned. We're going to have more interviews coming from the official Leadquarters of the 2019 SHOT Show here at Buck Knives.
Awesome. Thank you.
All right, buddy. Thank you. So that touched on a little bit of the history, a little bit more about CJ, the man behind the company. Bill, were there any additional questions that you wanted to ask CJ?
Thanks for putting me on the spot.
Yeah, absolutely.
No.
That's what I do here.
Well done. No, but I will backtrack what we were just talking about. Yeah, my first knife was a buck given to me by my dad. I think what was it, Chris? A 103, the little one?
Yeah, but a little Skinner.
Yeah.
A little fixed-bladed Skinner.
It is, yep, and that's in my gun vault here. So, yep. But no, I've got nothing else right now since you just threw me under the bus. So,
well, I didn't know if maybe there was like a lingering thing that you wanted to ask him. You were there all week.
Hearing from SHOT, hopefully.
What did you say? Say that
Never
again.
mind, we don't want to hear about that one.
No, I want to hear it.
What happens in Vegas stays in Vegas.
That's right.
That's right.
Unless you're on the show.
Lingering.
So what we didn't get an opportunity to do because we were so busy, and you guys were great in Chris and CJ setting up some of these awesome interviews that we're going to be doing. We've got one from Mr. Taylor, Bob Taylor, with Taylor Guitars. Awesome interview with him and a collab that Buck Knives is doing with Mr. Taylor with Ebony.
That's right.
And we talked a little bit about that in the interview that they just heard. A great program that you guys are involved with them. And, I mean, it's awesome that you're bringing back the ebony handle to your knives as well.
Yeah.
It is a bit of a throwback. It's something that's utterly sustainable. And I was just fascinated where Bob has reintroduced some very core forestry management principles to this little village in Cameroon, Africa.
Yeah.
Where they can manage their own forest, replant trees. You know, it's long-term stuff because these trees take a couple hundred years to get to the point where they're harvestable.
Right.
But you better start now. And you think about where we'd be if proper forest management had taken place in the rainforests and all through Africa, is Indonesia. If they had been planting trees for the last 150 years,
right,
we'd be completely in a sustainable place right now. And that ties in, a quick segue, but that ties so much into hunting and wildlife management. Like the two things tie so close together.
Well, it's an ecosystem. You know, the trees are part of that ecosystem that these animals, you know, thrive in. So that's something that needs to be done. And it was great to hear that he's doing it not only there, but he's also doing it in some other areas of the world. He's doing it in Hawaii, and there was another place too that he said that he's starting that program. But that's where we're going to get into that interview, probably next episode with Bob. But I wanted to touch on that and let everybody know that that's coming from you guys. A great project. And then we touched on the Cerakoting. You guys have started a line of Cerakoted knives, and we talked about all the benefits of that goes behind that. So, Bill.
Yes, sir.
You were my man on the street. In addition to my men on the street, we had a lot of leadheads that showed up unexpected, and we got a lot of a good men on the street reports, but we didn't get any from you while we were there. So let's hear your take on the 2019 SHOT Show.
2019 SHOT was great from the standpoint that it was a lot less crowded. So cheers to whoever decided to limit the attendance down to those that are supposed to be there. But that was also with all the feds who were furloughed, they couldn't make it. So walking around SHOT was great. It was much easier to get around.
So you think it was a better show without the federal people there? Is that what you're saying?
No, not at all. No.
Okay.
Can't diss my brothers and sisters. So, but no, just the sheer not as many people being there. That was just fantastic, and maneuvering around and getting to places.
Yeah, I didn't get that sense that there weren't as many people there.
You didn't walk around too much, did you?
Well, I never do, but it was just as far as seeing the traffic at Buck Knives and just, you know, in the mornings getting there and then evenings leaving, you know, you've always got that backup of everybody swarming to get out. And then the backup of, you know, taxis and lifts and, you know, all that.
Yeah, it was much easier. I mean, and
did they give a final count? Do you know?
No, but it's probably going to be the most heavily attended show ever again.
Even though it seemed like
it. Yeah. They're going to include everybody that was supposed to be there but couldn't be there.
Yeah.
So, but no, I thought SHOT 2019 was great. Met a lot of great contacts. Thank you, Chris, for introducing me to a few of those. Going to have some really good stuff for FLEOA members to work with coming down the pipe here. So I've got no complaints. It's a great show.
Okay. Well, we're gonna have Bill on periodically with us as well as we release these episodes, because he did get to go around and talk to a lot more people than I was able to. I mean, we got something like 30 interviews during the 4 days of SHOT Show, so we got a lot of good coverage. And I had to turn away. Unfortunately, I had to turn away a lot of people for the interviews. There just wasn't time. So those are ones that we're going to follow up as we go through these next few months releasing these interviews. But guys, I hear something, and it's not Bill's whistling booger in his nose. It's the jackwagon train.
Hoorah, Semper Fi, do or die, hold 'em high at 8th and I. It is time for the talking lead jackwagon of the week, so brace yourself, baby.
That tickled me.
You're simple.
I am very simple. So the train has stationed, and we're not going to spend a lot of time on the jackwagon train this week, but we do have some leadhead submitted jackwagons that I want to touch on, and we're just going to kind of go through these. I'm not going to go into great detail, but I want to let you guys know that they're out there and they exist, and user beware. So our first one comes from, looks like our good buddy Jacob Rozeski, which Jacob was at SHOT Show. Jacob and Mike, they're brothers, and our good buddy Nick Dooley. That was our gang of men on the street, and they brought us a lot of good information from the floors. You're going to hear from them in a couple of episodes to come. But Jacob wants to throw the state of Wisconsin for even mentioning they are thinking about legalizing a red flag ban. So for those of you who don't know what the red flag law is, I'm going to read that to you, and that's all the time I'm going to spend on this because we got another episode with Mike Sodini, Walk the Talk America, where we're going to talk about a little bit about the red flag laws. So it says a red flag law is a gun violence prevention law that permits police or family members to petition a state court to order the temporary removal of firearms from a person who may present a danger to others or themselves. A judge makes the determination to issue the order based on statements and actions made by the gun owner in question. After a set time, the guns are returned to the person from whom they were seized unless another court hearing extends the period of confiscation. And it says such orders are known as extreme risk protection orders in Oregon, Washington, and Maryland, and Vermont, as risk protection orders in Florida, as gun violence restraining orders in California, as risk warrants in Connecticut, and as proceedings for the seizure and retention of a firearm in Indiana. So I think there's something like 13 states that have this law in effect, and you guys should definitely educate yourselves for those states that this is relevant, because it is becoming more and more prevalent, but because it doesn't exist here in Tennessee. So I was just recently introduced to it by, like I said, Mike Sodini when we were having a discussion on the Walk Talk America. Go check that out. Familiarize yourselves with that because we're going to have a big discussion on it on an upcoming episode. So we got another one here. This is from Jason Edgar. And Jason would like to nominate Republican, I think it's Ihan Omar. She's a Muslim congresswoman that has shown that she stands for anything other than America. Okay. Recently, she is under fire for her comments and actions for lighter sentences for ISIS recruits. So he provides a link here, and basically what it's saying, I'm going to sum this up real quick. Democrat Muslim, and this is Minnesota rep. She's out of Minnesota. She has suggested lenient sentences for ISIS sympathizers. And I don't know the whole story on this, but again, this is one that you guys can go. You can Google it. You can look it up. She has alleged to try and I think there's a couple of local ISIS members there that she's been trying to get their sentences either reduced or get them out of jail completely. You guys aren't familiar with this story, are you? Anybody?
I believe it was two Minnesota guys that had pledged allegiance to ISIS and were trying to get over there to train and fight with them, but were caught before they could do so and are now facing U.S. terrorist charges.
Okay.
So,
and isn't that called something else too? Isn't that called treason?
Yeah. I think so.
Yeah, that was the word coming to mind.
Treason? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And as far as I know, that's got a stiffer penalty than like 50 years in jail. I think it's like back in the days, treason got you killed, right?
Yes, it did.
Yeah.
Get you a big old bullet in the noggin. So there you go. I mean, that's what you get for electing, I guess, a Muslim representative. You're going to get their demographic represented. I'll have to read more on that one too, so I'm not going to comment much on that. A lot of these stories can be taken out of context too. So if I find something to the contrary, I will let you leadheads know, definitely. So now here's the funny one that we've got. And this comes to, Bill, you want to take this one? Did you read the road rage incident?
No, but I saw it on the news. This is great. Two guys, this was out in Massachusetts. They get into a fender bender.
Yeah.
65-year-old dude gets out to confront the younger guy. Younger guy wants nothing to do with it or to even deal with the accident and police and insurance and whatever. Tries to take off. 65-year-old dude hops on the hood. Guy's screaming down the highway 70 miles an hour with this dude hanging on the hood. And my favorite is somebody was filming this, as they're driving down the road. They're like, what the hell? And you can see the
cell phones are great.
In this dude's face as he's screaming by, hanging on the hood. That was priceless.
I mean, it's not funny, but the look on the guy's face, I mean, it's pure terror. It's like he's like, you can see the regret. He's like, why did I do this?
Bad choice.
Trying to imagine what was going through the driver's head.
Yeah, exactly.
I can imagine what's going through the guy hanging on the hood's head.
Right.
But what could possibly, if not nothing, could be going through the driver's head?
That, I guess, remains to be seen. But, I mean, why leave the scene of an accident unless you've got something to hide? So I would say that the guy had either something nefarious in his car or nefarious in his background that coaxed him to run. But
when you get the chance to upgrade hit and run to murder, you should always take that.
Right. Hit and run to attempted murder. But luckily the guy, he wasn't hurt. He was unharmed. He was actually doing an interview afterwards. There's a great video if you guys just Google that. I'm looking at a link from ABC News right now.
His shorts may have been harmed.
He have a little permanent stain hit the windshield next to him. But I mean, that's our society today. Is, you know, cell phones are everywhere, and you're being videoed everywhere, whether you know it or not. You know, whether you want to be or not, there's a phone somewhere recording it. So that's something to always keep in mind.
Very true. We realized that during shot a few times.
Yeah, that is true.
Yep.
I noticed a couple of pictures I was tagged in that I had no idea that I was having my picture taken. So anyway, that's it. That's it for the jackwagon train. We're going to move on because we got lots of other things to talk about. Al Mampre, you know, we're talking about some great interviews that we had this week. World War II veteran, last surviving member of Easy Company Band of Brothers. Very fortunate to have that interview, and that's all thanks to Bill for getting that set up. Bill, talk a little bit about how that came to be, how we got that set up.
A year ago, beginning of January, in what was that, 18? Yeah, I happened to be out in New York for the Medicine in Bad Places TAC Med Expo, their first one ever. And Al was a guest out there through Tony Emanuele, who's a owner of Medicine in Bad Places, and got to hang out with Al and Tony and Sean the first night there because Al was a medic, and great friendship with Tony. Al's just a super good guy, and just happened to be talking to Tony one day, and he said he was coming out to a SHOT Show and with Al, and I went, oh, you got to go to Talking Lead, do an interview. And texted Chris, and boom.
Yeah, you texted me, and I texted you right back and was like, yeah, I want him on the show.
Yeah. Yeah, you didn't hesitate at all, man. You were boom on that. And nor did Chris. He was all over that as well. So really glad we were able to work that out and have Al there. It's just a super guy. Super guy, super stories. I know he had a lot more that he wanted to tell us. He was just pressed for time. I mean, we could still be talking with Al right now, I'm sure. Just a great character, great sense of humor, very humble, too, with all the things that he's, you know, during the World War II that he went through. But CJ and I got the opportunity to sit down and interview Al. So what were your initial impressions, CJ? You know, it's funny. My initial impression was just how much Al reminded me of my grandfather. Right. Who was also named Al. Oh, okay. And, but just that something about this. So my granddad would have been probably 10 years older. So he was in and out of the service prior to World War II. Mm-hmm. But he was a big time Navy guy. But just that whole self-deprecating, fully humble, utterly resilient. I mean, they weren't really aggressive. They were just indomitable. Nothing stopped them. They just kept moving. And to hear Al tell those stories, when you think about the starting of a company, I don't want to equate that to war, but it's tough crawling for a while. And my grandfather went through all of that. And you talk about that generation, they got heat treated through the Depression and then World War II, really crystallized in those people a toughness and a resilience that just impresses the heck out of us now. Yeah, it absolutely does. And Al, at 96 years old, is still just as sharp as a buck knife. Yes, he is. Yes, sir. So let's cut into that interview with Al right now, and then we'll come back, and we're going to talk some buck knives with CJ and Brooksy. Can't escape now, can I?
No, you're surrounded now.
We got you boxed in, sorry.
For a while ago, I thought I saw a gun here even.
There was.
Yeah.
It's an MP5 clone.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, this is a well-armed show.
I can Pouche.
Touche from a sharp guy, right?
You've made this enjoyable already.
Let's get it started. All right, guys, we are back at the 2019 SHOT Show at the official Leadquarters of Buck Knives. And we have a very super special guest joining CJ and I now. It is Al Mampre, and Al is a World War II veteran, but more than that, he is of Easy Company, the 101st Airborne Easy Company band of brothers. So welcome in, Al.
Thank you. It's a pleasure being here.
No, it's a pleasure to have you. We've been looking forward to this, so thanks for joining us. How did you first get involved with coming to the SHOT Shows? You've been coming for a while, right?
Well, I've been to about 4 of them, I think.
Okay.
Yeah. And they're 2 friends of mine, and it's been quite an experience. I've met so many wonderful, wonderful people, both in service, out of service, even with the 101st. I've met families whose parents or grandparents or children are in the 101st, and it's just a invigorating experience.
And you travel all over the country.
Yes, I do, and I've been to Europe. I was in Holland just recently, not too long. Well, September.
Right.
And I've been to Washington, D.C., met the Vice President, met General Milley, who's a 4-star. And I've met a lot of 101st. Most of the people at the top are 101st people.
101st, right?
Yeah.
Top notch, right?
Of course.
That's where the best people
I've just
come
been
from.
blessed to be with that organization and still here.
Still going great, too. I understand you were out at Nullis earlier this week.
I was where?
At the air base, doing some cool things out there.
Yeah. I don't know. I attend so many meetings, and so many people come from all over the country. And after this, I'll be getting requests for signatures from all over the place. I know. Is this going to be publicized everywhere?
Yes, sir. This is going worldwide.
I know I can anticipate all kinds of requests.
Right. We're over 100 countries, and you're going to be in every one of them.
Oh, well, I'll get them.
So we got Tia over here. She's got you on social media live, so all the Leadheads are watching you right now. So say hey to the Leadhead Nation.
Hello, how are you?
Hello, how are
Hope
you?
all's well with you.
So we have Al Mampre here with us, World War II veteran. And Al, you've led a very interesting life, obviously. I'm sure you got some great stories to tell.
Most of them are true.
Most of them are true. And the ones that aren't, we'll just assume they are.
I can't remember them.
So what led you to join the service to begin with?
Well, I was a ministerial student to begin with. And but I wanted to be in the service. I could have been deferred. And I was at that time in school in Abilene, Texas, at Hardin Simmons, and I was an Episcopalian, still am, and I went to a Methodist school in Ohio. Then I went to a Southern Baptist school in Texas, and then a Church of Christ school in California at Pepperdine, where I got my degree, UCLA, and then University of Chicago. But in the summer, between semesters at Abilene, I decided I want to be in the service, and I want to be a parachute. I want to do something interesting. Us little guys always like to take out a dare, you know.
Right?
That.
Yeah, we got to show our size, right?
Yeah. Well, not you, you're me. Most people I know.
Compared to these guys, I'm a little dude.
Well, my daughter calls me a hobbit.
Hobbits?
Can you imagine? Anyway, most people I know by their belt buckles, especially in Holland. They are tall.
They're tall in Holland. Huh?
But I want to be a paratrooper because I want to do something interesting.
Right.
And I want to do something. They honored my relation, sent me to Toccoa, Georgia. I went in at Mineral Wells, and then they sent me to Georgia, to Toccoa, Georgia, where they had just formed the 506 Parachute Infantry. And then I was assigned to a company under Captain Sobel, and I was infantry. Okay. And on the range, they might as well taken down the target because I couldn't hit anything. I would have killed more of my own people, I think, if I stayed a infantry person.
Right. So marksman wasn't your forte, huh?
There was a guy next to me who I bet him a candy bar. He couldn't hit the target. 8 candy bars later, I thought sure he's bound to miss. He only got 8 because that's all I had.
That's how
He turned out to be the best shot. He and one Lund McClung. This was Shifty Power.
Shifty, okay.
Yeah, and I guess his mother must have had trouble giving birth. I think he was born with that rifle in his hand. And then later on they start forming the medical. Say the colonel called me in there and asked me if I wanted to be a medic. I said, oh yeah, I'd love to be a medic.
Mm-hmm.
And from then on, I was a medic.
You're a medic.
Wow.
Yeah.
Just
But
like
we
that.
participated in everything the troops did too. You know.
Sure. Yeah, you had to perform and pass all the same tests.
Yeah, and range and all that. So I run the mountain 3 miles up, 3 miles down.
Yeah.
We were better than the line outfits running it in time. And then the obstacle course, we were faster on the obstacle course. We actually better on the range, except for me, than they were. But it was a job I loved.
Now the paratrooper division that they started, wasn't that new?
Well, the 82nd was already in business.
The 82nd?
They've been in Africa and Sicily and all that.
Yeah.
Yeah, the 82nd Airborne. They're still jumping too, by the way. They haven't wised up yet.
I'd heard that they offered a lot of guys joined the paratroopers because there was a little extra pay incentive.
Yeah, there was double pay, $50 more.
Right.
Yeah.
So that was a pretty good incentive.
You know what happened to me? I've got news for you folks. To achieve your longevity, they paid off my life insurance. To me, I pinched myself, see if I'm dead or alive. I'm getting my life insurance.
You're getting your life.
I called them up and
huh?
they said, no, you outlived it, and they even term insurance. Because I
Wow.
had kept my life insurance with the VA. You know.
Well, there are benefits then, right?
Yeah, I got a new car.
What'd you get?
I got an Avalon.
An Avalon. Ooh, you're going in style.
It doesn't do dishes or windows, though.
No.
No.
But it looks good, right?
Oh, boy, it looks nice.
Me just sitting here listening, I so enjoy your sense of humor. There must be something for surviving all you did that just drove this ability to laugh.
Well, I have a sort of a perverse sense of humor, but there are three things that I contribute to my longevity. People always ask me, "What did you do?" Well, first of all, I don't do anything right. If you don't believe it, ask my daughter. But anyway, one is meeting a lot of nice people, and you don't even have to be that nice. All you have to do is mirror them, and you're better. And the second one is a sense of humor. And I just enjoy people so much that things just come out. I don't. My wife thought I had no censor. Oh boy, if she saw what censor she would be aghast, I tell you. But so I enjoy life, and I think that's contributed. The third thing is don't die.
Don't die. And you
I'm going to write that one down. I'm going to write that one down.
Yeah, that's an important one. But I don't pay attention to that yet. People tell me at the next event, I'll see you a year from now. I said, how about next week? They're not as realistic as I am, I come here to the road show. To the SHOT Show, and the Glocks people have a set of parties afterwards usually.
Yep.
And we go, and these young ladies come and they give me a kiss on their cheek. And the young bucks, they line up behind me. They think they're next. No way are they next. And the girls turn around and walk away. And they say, what have you got that we don't have? I said, 75 years.
Now, you got a lot of stories to tell as well. Now, I understand you got something to do. There's a story revolved around a cat.
Oh, cat, yeah. Oh, well, no, there might be cat lovers here.
Yeah? No.
But, I had one of the guys brought a little kitty home, a calico cat, in his pocket from one of the girls' camps, and it had a real bushy tail. And I went and got some peroxide and ammonia and set it on a beer mug. She's going to kill me. And in this solution, and dyed it. And it was sitting outside. It was in England, sitting outside in the sun, drying off, just sitting there warming up, And it started to dry and get real fluffy. And it happened to just turn around and see this flame red thing hanging on the end of it. And it took off. It tried to shake it and it couldn't do it. And it carried it straight up. That was the farthest from itself it could get. Well, I test dropped it with a rock and a homemade parachute off the church steeple. And that didn't slow down. And the kids were at the windows of their school. And the teachers having a fit with them, trying to get them back. anyway, I made a larger chute and didn't get a chance to test drop it, but put it on the cat, and we were going to jump for the Eisenhower Churchill demonstration jump. And I took it up there, had it in my musette bag, and when my chute opened, it was a low jump. I took the chute out, and the chute floated away. And I jammed the cat back in the bag and hit the ground. He came out, but he didn't run away. But
he didn't run away.
He was more like us after that.
He wanted to do it again, huh?
But there was another cat involved. Now that you mentioned, and that was a wildcat. The lieutenant colonel of the battalion wanted a pet, and we were in Kentucky, or I don't know if it's Kentucky or Tennessee, but there was these little roadhouse-sized zoos where they have an animal in there. Could be a raccoon, but there was a wildcat in one of them. So we got that wildcat and took it, and we had a makeshift operating arena for it, and we chicken wire cage, all chicken wire on the door and everything, and we had that. One guy could handle it for some reason, I don't know why, but we were all in there putting ether on the doctor was putting ether on it to put it out, because we're going to put boots on it. If he's going to be a paratrooper, he has to wear boots.
You got to wear boots, man.
Of course. And the colonel was in there, and a major, and the doctor was a major too, and a guy that could handle him and me. And I was on the other side of the table. And suddenly it came to that ether hadn't had its effect. So we came howling and yelling. They all went out in rank order. Lieutenant Colonel, Major, and then I was about to go out. Came around, they slammed the door and they wouldn't open the door. I said, and I swear there were 12 cats in there. There was cat everywhere, claws and all. Yeah, but he didn't get me. But I said, I can't get out. They said, we don't want the cat to get out. I said, the cat. And finally it settled down, just got tired, and the guy came in, and we eventually put boots on him. Now somebody jumped that cat, but I don't know who, and I don't know what happened. And I've jumped with pigeons. Some guy had too many. They were experimenting with carrier pigeons, and he had 8 of them, and they were in large oatmeal box looking tubes, and I took 4 of them. And his 4 got killed in the opening shot. 2 of mine died in the opening shot. I had 2 left out of the 8. I don't know whether I ever use them again later or not.
So I understand you've got an interesting story about Al Brewer.
Oh, Bob Brewer, yeah. Bob Brewer's...
Bob Brewer, I'm sorry.
Yeah, he was a lieutenant, assistant platoon leader, and we were in Market Garden, and he was attacking across a big field, empty field, and there were 4 houses on the other side of it, 4 separate houses. And Captain Winters told him not to wave his map case around like he's a leader. He was hollering, "Come on, boys!" He looked like a Ted Danson, tall, skinny guy.
Tall, good-looking, yeah.
Yeah, skinny guy, yeah. Depends on whether you're a boy or a girl.
Or a boy or a girl. I just know that he's considered to be, a handsome guy. I don't know.
Anyway, and of course he said you'd be target, and sure enough, he was target for today. E Company was. They called for E Company. I was with the battalion at that time. As a battalion, I was the non-com in charge of battalion medic, so I was always with the doctor and the staff. And they're hollering for a medic up an E Company. I said, I got 4 medics in there. Why are they calling? I'll see you later. I'm going up. So I went up there. We were in the thin woods, and there was a big field across there. And I said, "What's the problem?" They pointed out of the ditch, and it was I said, "Who's that out there?" It was Lieutenant Brewer. Okay. So I went out there, and I could hear somebody hollering on the right, "You're crazy, Mampre!" In other words, there was a snipers up there firing us there. Anyway, that's my mission,
Just doing your job, right?
Yeah, that's what everybody, whatever did anything in our outfit, the mission was the thing. Was the key.
Right.
And that's why I don't think there were any real heroes. Just mission oriented. And I got up to Brewer, was quiet, and I sat down next to him, and I told him who I was and that I would be with him. And he was shot through the neck. They thought he had been killed.
Oh.
And I finally set up a plasma setup. He was yellow like jaundice,
Right.
And the collapsing veins, and I finally found it. And then the medic that was supposed to be there came out to help me, and then the German opened up and clipped him on the heel, and he took off, went right back to his unit in the woods, and then the bullets started kicking up. Oh, first there was a big crack, like something, and I said, oh, they hit the bottle, you know. Nope, it was still intact. I never thought that they're shooting at me, you know. And I never thought during the whole war that I'd ever get killed. And I proved to be right, luckily.
You proved it right, right?
Yeah. And anyway, so I lie down, and there's bullets kicking up all around me. And I told the brewer in my best bedside manner, I said, Lieutenant, are you dead? Because if you're dead, I'm leaving. he answered me. He said, he croaked out, no, but I don't know why. I said, okay, I'll stay with you. Then the Dutch came out. Those Dutch or something. They came running out to help us under fire, and one of them grabbed Lure's lieutenant's carbine and fired at the house, and then he ran out of bullets, so he just threw it down, and then another two came out with a ladder. They were entrepreneur helpers, I tell you.
So whatever works, right?
They put Brewer on the ladder, and they took him towards one of the second house on the left corner. I said, oh no, my patient's going the wrong direction. You know, so the Germans over there and we're Americans are back here. So, and then three other guys came out to help.
Dutch aren't real good with directions, huh?
They knew their directions. Three more got hurt, hit in his chest and everything. Pretty soon we had about a total of 6 of us. And,
wow.
And then I got hit like a mule kicked me on the leg and laid it right open, right down the bone.
So you took one in the leg?
Yeah, no blood to speak of. And I could see it, you know, but I couldn't get to it, and the Dutch helped me patch it up, and I gave myself a shot of morphine. And they took the other guys over to that same house.
Right.
Well, I couldn't run or walk or much, so this leg would just stay where it was. So, but it was on the ground, and there was a wagon rut that went right to the house, right to that house, and I was able to get there on that with this bad leg on top and the other one in the rut.
Going through the rut. Huh?
Yeah, and there was a woman at the end house, collar and tote, which means dead, somebody was killed. And I didn't find out till last September who it was, and it bothered me. It was her grandfather, and he'd been shot by an American. I was wondering who shot him, the German or us, the Dutch, when they fired at the house, or what happened there. Turned out an American. They tell me he was crying and everything. He thought it was another German.
Yeah.
But anyway, I found that out. And then...
and you just found that out this recently?
This last September.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, they had done some research. Some young guy did, some Dutch guy.
Yeah.
And we got in his house, and there was a little Dutch house, and everything was immaculate like you would expect a Dutch house to be. And the guys were lying around, and morphine began to have an effect on me. I made a circle with my arms, and a signal with my hand that something's coming up, you know.
Right.
And she caught on right away, went and got a bowl, because the morphine was working on me, you know.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to mess up her nice clean floor. It was immaculate.
I mean, all this, and you're concerned about keeping her house tidy.
That's how things are. It's the immediate situation. That's the point I'm trying to make.
Yes.
Because when I first came in to Holland, into the town, a guy came through my chute too, by the way, and landed on top of me. He wanted to know where the enemy was. I said, just stand on him. Man, he did a number that's lasted the rest of life on me.
Was this your drop into Holland when that happened?
What's that?
Were your drop into Holland when that happened?
Yeah, that was a combat jump. I always lit standing up, but this one time when I should be standing up, I got standing upon. Anyway, we get into town. They had the finery out and their orange flag. They thought they were liberated. No way are they liberated. But and then a machine gun opened up down the street. The Dutch were gone like a flash. I stepped back in the doorway, and this is where hell starts. With a spoonful of cherries, she's feeding me cherries, and the bullets and the machine guns firing right past my nose, practically.
As you're eating cherries.
And I'm getting cherries. I never saw her, because as soon as the firing stopped, I took off, and I recognize that arm. But and I know it was a woman's arm. I was pretty good at that sort of thing. So. But I always regret that I never got a chance to thank her. Yeah. Now these are the little tiny vignettes that make a mark.
Right.
Well, getting back to the other one, that's how your memory works. It jumps. And
No, we're on every word, Al. You keep going, buddy.
Poor souls.
This is great.
And anyway, they were ready to go, and they had found a cart, a rickety cart, and they put 4 guys on the Dutch tip, and they went to the path and the street that was going to Eindhoven and back to Zaan. And the Dutch doctors showed up from somewhere. They pop out of Idaho. I don't know where they come from. And he was for going to Eindhoven. I didn't want to go to Eindhoven because I knew we hadn't taken Eindhoven yet, because that was where the British were going to come through as they went up the path, And I was wanting to go to Zaan because I knew we had people there. That's where we came in. And what happened was a platoon of Germans were in that big field behind the houses, and they were coming on. They saw us and they started firing at it. Well, the Dutch took off in this cart and went running towards Zaan. That solved the problem there. And I drove into a round German type foxhole because I couldn't run.
Yeah.
And at first, and two German.
Yeah, you got a bullet in your leg at this point.
Yeah, well, not my leg. Went right on through.
Oh, it went through.
Yeah,
okay.
Somebody else got that souvenir. And the 2 Dutch guys pulled me out. They created a wheelbarrow. Where they got that wheelbarrow? But they threw me on a wheelbarrow, and we're one on each handle and running down the road, and they're firing at us. Finally, they gave up, figuring we weren't worth the trouble. But we got back to Zaan, okay.
That's a great story.
When we were back in Zaan, we finally opened that road up, and the British were there with their tanks, bumper to bumper at 4:30, and they were making tea. They have these caddies that heat the water on the back of their tanks. And I said, "What are you doing there, soldier?" And he said, "It's time for tea, mate." I said, "Time for tea, mate?" I said, "The Germans are in the woods there with their tanks. They're going to open up on you." And, "Oh, well, it's time for tea, mate." Yeah, well, they were making their tea, and the Germans started opening up on them. They decided tea time was over.
Okay. So it wasn't that important.
There was the major difference right there. They waited for orders to what to do next. All we wanted to know is what the mission. Right. And it was up to us to solve the situation given the circumstance. We were more entrepreneur soldiers, and we moved on a thing right away, Yeah. And we were teamed. We were well trained. We were trained tough and hard, and so I was a major difference. They were tough. They were hard. They were English, and
but they drank tea.
Well, yeah. As a matter of fact,
under tank fire. No.
Yeah.
I used to go to their napty when I was in England because I drank tea too. My mother used to drink tea when she was in England, but that was interesting what they were doing. Yeah. I saw Montgomery then. He was about the distance between you and me. He looked like death warmed over too.
Oh, man.
He was put there to patrol Eisenhower. The British wanted to run that show. The whole thing, as a matter of fact. And they were for coming in on the underbelly of Europe for cutting off the Russians in the future. They figured that's what the real problem was going to become.
Right.
Matter of fact, at the end of the war, when I was talking to Germans, they thought we should fight the Russians now while they were still weak.
Yeah, and that's what Patton wanted, right?
And Patton wanted it too.
Patton wanted, they wouldn't listen to him.
No, they wouldn't.
It's one of the biggest mistakes they made.
And then they had, Eisenhower had Montgomery to deal with, which we always wanted more material, more men, more Americans, wanted more stuff and never moved. And then it was like the Civil War where that Washington General McClellan, what was it, McClellan something, they wouldn't move. They really thought the wars were going to be over in 15 minutes.
Right, yeah. Was he wrong? Huh?
He wasn't going to move either. He wanted more of this and more of that. But, and then de Gaulle, that was another one too.
De Gaulle.
Oh, yeah. He had his hands full, Eisenhower.
So when you guys took the Eagle's Nest, were you a part of that?
Oh, yes. I was wounded in Holland, as you know, and I went.
Right.
I remember being in Luxembourg for a MASH unit, and then, but I don't remember anything after that because next thing I knew, I was in England. And to this day, I have no idea. I know I don't walk on water. How I got there, I have no idea. And but they were patching me up, and this guy had jabbed his rifle in the air. I was always on my face when they're working on my leg. Mm-hmm. Hey, how about this? Because it's sticking out like this, And they finally sewed that one. But I was there I missed Normandy, by the way. I didn't
missed
mention that.
Normandy?
Yeah, I was in the hospital with an infection went all the way around my neck and was going to kill me. According to the regimental surgeon.
Right.
He sent me to the hospital about 2 weeks before D-Day, and I missed D-Day. Man, after all that training, I'm not even with my unit, you know.
Yeah, I'm sure it was hard on you, but things happen for a reason.
Well, in retrospect, I think I lost. I know Pepping, my buddy, that was a medic. He lost everything on the jump. Shoes just tore everything off him when he made his jump.
Oh my gosh.
He ended with nothing there but himself, you know.
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, I got to tell you how we started the very first day when I met Pepping. The very first day we went out I went out to the field, a little field right near the tents.
Uh-huh.
And another guy came on. That was Pepping, who became one of my medics. E Company, by the way. And there was this tower there with a simulated C-47 doorway there.
Okay.
And I said, oh boy, they're going to make us jump out of there. We do not want to be kicked out before we even start, because we don't want to chicken out, because we wanted to be paratroopers, and it would be ignominy upon ignominy to be kicked out. So we went up and jumped down, just fell down, you know.
Yeah. No shoots or anything, just practicing your landings kind of thing?
I guess, I don't know.
Yeah.
Because later, a lieutenant happened to come out, and just shortly after that, and he asked us what we were doing. We told him why and what we were doing, and he said, "Oh no, we haven't finished. We haven't finished building it. There's going to be a cable going from the door all the way to the ground, and you drop down 15 feet the length of your study, and then you slide down. You know, dumb boy, dumb."
No, we haven't finished that one yet.
You know that little tower wiped out more guys than the towers at Benning did.
Really?
Yeah, the 250 towers, yeah.
Oh, man.
They had one tower there where one time they would take you up on a spring, no shoe, just a spring. And they had 250 feet, and they'd cut you loose, and you would flip all over the sky. They gave you a little short simulated static to pull a reserve, supposedly, and they'd give you holler instructions to you while you're flipping around. That was fun. You knew you'd be all right, so why worry, you know?
Right.
But it was a great spirit.
So your first jump out of an airplane, real airplane, can you remember that?
It was so routine. We'd been practicing falling and jumping off of 8-foot, 10-foot and stuff, platforms and everything, and how to roll and everything. And so the jump, to me, not to everyone, but to me was we just went out the door. And it was the highest jump, which was low, 1,500 feet. My daughters jumped at 5,000, and people jump at 13,000 by the hundreds now.
Yeah. Little redhead there. How high were you when you jumped?
Probably. Yeah. They jumped. There's a anchor person in Chicago that has made about 1,000 jumps at 13,000 feet. Her husband's a judge, and he won't go near a plane. But she goes up there. They go up there like nothing.
Like nothing, yeah.
Yeah. And I'm with PJs now, and they used to jump high-low at 25, 30,000 feet. And when you look in your plane and see the temperatures out there,
oh yeah,
oh man, I would never want to do that.
So you were with the PJs. Was it yesterday or today?
Today and yesterday. Let's see if they're. Oh, and then I have.
And Tony, you can talk if you want to. Yeah, you just turn that microphone on. Make sure it's on.
You hear me, Al?
Hi.
So introduce yourself.
I'm Tony Manueli. I met Al at a police conference actually in Illinois, and that's how we got hooked up about 2 years ago now.
Yeah.
And so Al came out to our conference. We do a TAC medical conference.
All right, which I'm sorry I didn't make it this year.
It's all right. Hopefully next year. Bill had a good time. Our company met us in bad places, and Al came out there, and Al actually flew to New York by himself for this conference. And it was right in the middle of the storm. So Al, tell him the story about the storm you flew into in New York.
Oh my, it was a storm. And JFK was shut down, wasn't it?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and he was going to take us to what do you call it? The one at the other
LaGuardia.
LaGuardia, yeah. And that's where the hotel was on Long Island. And it took us 3 hours because he had to pick up somebody at JFK, and then they had lost their luggage. And we're going around in this all these cars honking and everything. 3 hours of driving, and he just took it right in stride. And that 3 hours went like a flash to get from the plane to our hotel.
Wow.
But when Bastogne, there were some terrible.
That was that the worst? Would you say, Bastogne?
Yeah, it was the worst. And there was one German kid about 17 years old that we captured, and he spoke some English. I said, "Hey, soldat, let's change uniform." He says, "Was ist change?" I said, "Look, if you wear my German uniform, American uniform, you know we're going to Germany. You'll be home.
Right.
If I wear your German uniform, I'll send me home as a prisoner of war, but I'll be home." He looked at me and he said, he was kind of cocky for a prisoner. Usually they're kind of cowed. "The hell with you?" He says, "You go to Germany. I want to go to the United States." He didn't want any part of going back.
He didn't want to go back at all.
I cracked me up. And a lot of them never did come back. They were sent. I know that.
That's true. Yeah.
And a lot of them in Wisconsin.
A lot of them didn't want to be a part of that.
No,
they were forced.
that's true.
Yeah.
Actually, I've always wondered how come we never got so many more people wounded and killed with all the firing. Because when people fired and they wanted to kill somebody or hit them, we could.
Right.
But they were firing. And if you were to exchange uniforms between Wehrmacht, not the SS, they were a different breed of cat.
Right, yeah.
And you would know the difference. They looked like us, even the Germans did quite a bit, and they had the same concerns. About 2 years ago, we ran into we were in the woods, there were 5 of us veterans, and there was a clearing there with 250 graves with the black plaques on them. The German cemeteries are always somber black places. And I started reading the dates on the dates of birth and dates of, every one of them killed the same day. And it were 14, 15-year-old kids. 5 of us veterans, not a one of us felt good about all these dead Germans,
Right.
They were just kids.
Yeah.
So that's war, though. That's war. There are a lot of them that were the first group we ever met were the 6th Fallschirmjäger paratroopers. They were tough. And then they start feeding in younger people, untrained people, and you can see right away they're not the same caliber,
Right.
But after the war, when you meet them, we were sort of comrades in a way because we knew what each other had to do and what our missions were and stuff like that.
Yeah.
We had a lot of respect for each other.
Very good. Yeah. So what's next for Al Mampre?
Well,
Where are you headed next after SHOT Show?
Well, let me see. I'm going to Florida. I'm going to April. I go to the ITOA medical program they have going there.
Uh-huh.
I have people coming in from South Carolina, and people are coming and going all the time. And I was with Vice President Pence, thanks to Tony, and then I got to see General Milley, who is a 4-star and in charge of the Army, and has now been upgraded to, as soon as it's approved, of course, to Chief of Staff, I think. And he's going to take my daughter and me to France next June for the 75th anniversary.
Oh, man, that'll be nice.
Oh, I think he's going to throw me in the ocean, to tell you. But he is, if I were to describe him, I'd say, I swear he eats nails for breakfast. Toughest guy you ever saw, and a real hockey buff. And but his wife came in the office, and she's a nurse, the nicest lady you could ever see. Oh, he was nice, and I could see why he was nice too. He gave me a hockey puck with a crest on the top of it.
Are you a big hockey fan?
Me, no.
Not so much?
I'd be more like the puck myself. But I got to drive pilot a simulated helicopter, thanks to him.
Oh,
I got
awesome.
to actually pilot one of their fast and small boats up to 65 miles an hour in that thing out in the Chesapeake. I got to throw the first ball out.
Al had quite a week in Vegas. He was there for about 4 nights, and we did everything he could do. And we were, when he came to visit me, they drove the Coast Guard response boat, the 3,500 horsepower boat. They let Al have the helm of that thing.
Oh, yeah.
They took him up, took him the helicopter. He had a police escort everywhere he went.
Oh, yeah, with the motorcycles, with sirens blowing and everything.
Heck yeah.
It was a good time.
Now, they put you on a motorcycle?
No, 5 of them were escorting us
Okay.
with his car. They must have thought the King of Botswana was there or
You
somebody.
didn't take the Avalon?
No, I flew there.
Okay.
Yeah.
You gotta drive. You gotta get that Avalon out and drive it a little bit.
I can. My daughter's always driving it.
That's your daughter's got it. It's in good hands, right?
Yeah, absolutely,
It's in
absolutely.
good hands.
Yeah. Now what? Let me see. I don't know. I've seen things. I remember. Funny things happen. They're not funny, but they're odd. I remember one guy getting hit on the head with a mortar shell. Hit him right on top of his helmet, knocked him down. It was okay.
Just got right back up.
He probably didn't have any brains, so it didn't even give him a concussion. And another guy got a bullet, went right through here, underneath his helmet, came out the other side. It was a spent bullet. Now
right
you talk
through.
about heroism. There was a guy putting a wire up between division headquarters, right across from us where we were, and some company out there in Bastogne area, and a shell hit the wall he was on.
Right.
Knocked him off. Right back up he goes. He had to string that wire up, otherwise they lose communication. And
He was on a mission.
another shell hit.
on a mission.
Bang, off he goes again. He's back up there again. The third time was a charm. He made it. And he got that wire up. That was his mission.
Right.
Now looking at it objectively from the outside, you say, boy, that guy was a hero, He could have quit right off the bat while it was ahead. But he had a mission. He accomplished his mission. That's what we all had. That's what we were trained to do.
That's what they train you to do in the military.
Yeah.
Otherwise, we would be a communist country now.
Now,
Thus the greatest generation.
The greatest generation.
And focusing. I learned about focusing too, on what your mission is.
Yeah.
Going up and down stairs is a mission. Focus on your mission. You start just getting distracted, you're gonna break your neck. That's all
Yep.
it takes. Is a split second, you're in big doo-doo.
Now, can I ask you about Sobel?
Yes, he was what they said he was.
Okay.
He was mean. He was, even to his own officers. He had two characteristics that didn't endear him to his troops, and that was he couldn't read a map, and secondly, he didn't know where he was when he was out there in a maneuver, and they thought he was going to get him out there to kill, and they'd get killed, and they would get killed, and so they didn't want him as their leader. But he was tough.
Yeah.
He trained way beyond what the rest of us were being trained. The rest of the people were being trained. I was with his group, and so they told him. After the war, they would all acknowledge that he's the one that toughened them up. But they finally, they thought there was going to be a mutiny. They even had a machine gun out the head of our street. Oh man, I was fit to be tied. And they weren't going to, I knew the sergeants real well. And one of them was the one that came up with the Band of Brothers concept. They finally replaced him with Dick Winters. Now his attitude was he had a lot of respect for his people. He had he was firm but fair, and they had a lot of respect for him because he wouldn't fool around. He didn't drink or anything like. After hours, he'd be studying tactics and stuff like that. He was a dedicated leader, and they had a lot of faith in him, and that turned it around to a positive relationship.
Wow.
A band, they bonded. They bonded on a positive basis.
Yeah.
So
And
if you
now
could,
I'm with I got to know another person who owns the Arlington racetrack. Duchessois, his name is. He was a anti-tank commander, major. He was in Foy and Novelle at Bostel, and he had 101st people in his tank, and they were destroying Germans, and they were getting destroyed too, but they were destroying. They saved our sorry butt, And I got to meet him, and we got to be bonded. He's such the nicest guy. It's amazing what my life has encountered.
And it'd just be impossible to live through those types of experiences and not have lifelong relationships.
Yeah.
I mean, I think deer camp is kind of cool, but no, it's nothing compared to what you've survived and dealt with people.
Well, the thing I like about this Duchessois is that every person in that organization, whether they're waiting tables at the restaurants in there, or they're dealing with the horses, or the vice president, they're all patron-oriented. They know where their meal ticket is, and I think they're a real role model for other companies. They're really wonderful, wonderful relationship. You can feel it when you're with them.
Now, does he have social media set up, website, webpage?
No, Al doesn't have that. No.
Okay.
Not if I can help it.
Now, it's World War II veterans. Are there some things where you guys still get together and meet?
Oh yeah, the 101st Airborne Division is well bonded. We meet every year, and Company E meets every year too, separately as a company, and they're really close. They're really close.
You guys do that once a year?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, once a year.
Keep in touch.
Now people always ask me, what'd you do after the war? High school was an era of my life. Going to college was an era of my life. I just interrupted that to go to war. The era of war was an era of my life. Then after that, get married, job, stuff. I became a psychologist instead of a minister. And so to me, they were just compartmentalized portions of your life. And we didn't talk about the war. I would meet with a guy that was one of my medics every month, and we talk about families and jobs.
Mm-hmm. Talk about what's going on in life.
But they expect you to be all, But I did have a flashback, and I just dealt with people with flashbacks. The other day, well, not the other day, but I was on a cruise between New York and Halifax with my daughter, and they showed this picture, Sully. The one where he lands in the Hudson,
Yeah.
Yeah, and they had they showed they had flashbacks throughout all, and one of them was the bad situation, and I suddenly had bullets all around me. Literally thought so. I mean, I had a flashback, and it happened just a second. I never had to experience anything like that. It was like it was there, and everything was happening.
And that only happened one time?
Yep, just once,
Just
and
one time.
at a movie.
You said in a movie.
Wow.
Well, something triggered it, I guess, huh?
That movie did, yeah.
That movie did?
Yeah, but I never had. Now I know how they feel when I was dealing with them,
Yeah.
Would this be a good time to present a gift?
We're going to do one more thing here. We're going to let Tony do that.
Yeah.
And then, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, we just do a shout out to some of the charities that we represent with Al. HonorTheFallen.com is a veterans organization. A lot of the money that we fundraise through some of the pictures Al's selling today. He's actually going to give you guys a couple signed portraits through them. And then another one is TunnelToTowers.org. So if you guys are familiar with them, but our company donates a lot of money to them, and they run a charity run every year from the tunnel. It was a fireman, Steven Siller run that they do every year, and they're actually building houses for disabled veterans now. So anyone that is disabled after the war, police officers, firemen, they'll pay for their house, and they'll build that for them after.
That's great. And give that website again.
Definitely. It's TunnelToTowers.org, and then the other one is HonorTheFallen.org. Those are some of the organizations that we fundraise for.
I'm sure they're on Instagram,
they definitely
Facebook,
are,
and all that.
Definitely.
Okay, so you let us make sure you go and donate to those organizations. That's awesome. So before we break here, I know you guys got other appointments. Al, we've got a nice presentation that CJ would like to present you with.
All right, this is a
Oh wow!
this is a little memento of your time at SHOT Show, but it is a woolly mammoth ivory handled knife.
Wow.
With Damascus steel blade.
Oh my! Oh, Damascus.
Damascus steel. So I've autographed the blade and dated it SHOT Show 2019, and just want to tell you how much we appreciate you coming in and speaking and telling stories.
Thanks. Yeah. Thank you so much.
Oh, that makes Dundee look like a sickie.
That's a knife, mate. That's a knife, mate, right there.
This is beautiful.
So it's our pleasure. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Al, the Leadheads really appreciate you taking the time and sharing your story. You're welcome back anytime. Love to have you back on.
By the way, that Band of Brothers series,
yes, sir,
is pretty accurate. There are a few Hollywood things in there, but generally speaking, it's pretty accurate.
Okay, I didn't know how much we should talk about the Band of Brothers, but yes, I've watched the series several times and always wondered the accuracy of that.
That's why I made this comment, yeah.
Yeah, so, yeah, very good. Now, were you in that? Were you one of the characters in the Band of Brothers?
Yes, but it's not identified as so. I'm in the Hell's Highway and some other books, too.
I remember when you were telling the story about the guy with the map and getting shot. That scene was in there, right?
Yeah, they had that scene in there.
And the medic was you.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, but it was in a field, not walking in front of a tank or anything like that.
Gotcha.
That scene was truly changed.
Yeah.
This has been a real pleasure on my part, and I thank you for inviting me. And I really thank you. I'm more than thank you for this. This
No,
is very
it's our pleasure.
thoughtful of you. Wow.
All right, guys.
Beautiful.
We're going to be back with more from the 2019 SHOT Show here at the official headquarters of Buck Knives. That was awesome.
So here's all the packaging to that.
All right, guys. So an awesome interview there with Al. I wish we had more time with him. We're going to definitely try to get him back on. But those stories that I could just sit in there and listen to him for days. And he had story after story. And for those who've seen the Band of Brothers, the HBO 8-part series that they did, that story that he was telling about being in the field, that was actually a scene. Can't remember which episode that was in, but where he got shot in the leg and got drugged to the farmhouse, and the lady was feeding him cherries. That was just surreal, But yeah, that was those guys were just very mission focused. It was all about the mission. They didn't consider themselves heroes or do anything out of the ordinary. They just wanted to get to the next mission so they could get home, and that's what drove them. Mm-hmm. So the knife. So at the end, we presented Al with, or CJ presented Al with, I guess that's a one of a kind custom knife. It was absolutely gorgeous. Yeah, how did you come up with that?
Handmade. It was one at a time, handmade. It was medallions of mastodon ivory.
Oh my gosh!
After being with Al for the hour or so that he was talking, you get a sense of how you can interact and what liberties you can take. So at the end, come up around Al, presented him the knife. He was very impressed, and I told him that how hard we had to look to find something that was older than he was.
I love that.
I thought of that comment about a half hour earlier and was just agonizing over
whether you should say it or not.
Should I? Is this good? Will this be appreciated? And after the rest of that time in that interview, you knew that he'd appreciate it. And the gal that was pushing him around or being responsible, caretaking
his
for
entourage,
him, she just busted up laughing. So with the two of them laughing, I felt like it was a risk well taken.
You were safe.
I was safe.
You weren't going to get wiped out later.
I wish I was recording
My wife
that.
wasn't there to kick me under the table like usual.
It was classic. The timing on it was perfect, and it fit right into his personality and his style of humor. And what was it he said back to you? He's like, I don't have a comeback for that. That's perfect.
Yeah. Yes, it was. I'm speechless, or I don't have anything to say about that.
Right.
It was great. So
yeah, he definitely appreciated it.
He was just a wonderful individual.
So
him, I can see why we won.
Right. Mm-hmm. So some other interviews, like I said, we've got Bob Taylor with Taylor Guitars. We got Geisley Automatics, Century Arms, Alpha Guardian, Zenith Firearms, See Me Hunt. Chris Avina is coming out with a new digital magazine. Cryptech, we had Butch Whiting, which I don't think he does very many
he doesn't
interviews, so that's going to be
a good time. That one, it was kind of surprising to see how long that went.
Yeah.
How much fun it had.
Well, after he warmed up to us, once he figured out I wasn't there to ambush him,
what it was all about, he did pretty good.
Yeah, it's a funny one too. We're definitely going to get Butch back on. He's got a lot more to tell us as well. Hat Point Target. We've got over 30 awesome interviews. Some of those we doubled up with people. We got Joe Towers. He's a local guy here in the Tennessee area. Does a Hero for Hunt nonprofit. Steve and Jennifer Morgan, which those are friends of yours. Fitness, outdoor enthusiast. Personality-wise, you couldn't find a nicer, more bubbly couple. They were amazing. So I look forward to releasing that one. Occam Defense, which when we were doing the interview with Bob, Bob's a very intellectual individual. Brian Keeney with Occam Defense is a physicist and a mechanical engineer. We were sitting there trying to figure out some other ways that ebony could be used.
and I'm tossing around some ideas left and right. I'm getting shot down, and then in walks our good buddy Jeremy Smith with Smith & Bradley Watches, and an idea popped in my head. I was like, a watch. You need to do a watch out of ebony. So that could be a collaboration that we're going to see in the near future.
Cool.
And the list goes on and on and on. We had Yehuda, the Pew Pew Jew, hilarious interview with the Yehuda, and lots more. So, and I got to say, probably the one that was equal with my interview, our interview with Al, was Commander Tom Coulter. I mean, what a privilege and an honor that was, because he definitely doesn't do interviews with people, I could tell. So how'd you get him loosened up to do that?
That was just a matter of talking him into it. We got, CJ has known him for a while, and I've been getting to know him over the last year or so, and just some constant communication. And once he was in the booth, then it was going to be easy, because, he was hanging around, he was being available for us and anybody that we brought to him.
Yeah.
And he was also introducing us to some folks, but it took a little bit of coaxing, but once he started hemming and hawing, we knew we had him. So he's just a great guy. He was just a delight to have in the booth the whole show. And
after we had him on the first time, we couldn't get him off. He came on to do another interview where we talked about the Buckmaster knives, the history. We had Richard Nyman, the author of the history of that, and he talks about that, and then the new version of the Buckmaster that could be coming out. So
we're working on it.
Work. It's in the mail, right? So lots of great interviews coming up. You guys are definitely going to want to stay tuned. I'll be cranking these out just as soon as I can get everything edited and posted.
You had a really good one with your optics sponsor, Brady.
Yeah, Right On stopped by. Lots of good things going on with them. Some of their brand, what are the ambassadors? We've got some stuff lined up with them in the near future. So lots and lots and lots, as you guys can expect from Talking Lead and 2019 SHOT Show from the official Leadquarters there at Buck Knives. Again, thank you guys so much for making that happen. It was a beautiful setup. I mean, couldn't have asked for a better studio.
No, that's good. It was a pleasure having you on.
We want to officially on air invite you to come out and do it again next year.
Well, there you go. Thank you.
It really brought a lot of interesting people into the booth, which is exactly why we're there. So it was excellent.
Well, thank you for that, and accepted. Invitation accepted.
If you have to bring Bill, we understand. But
it's kind of a package deal, as long as he can get off.
Tia is always welcome, but if you got to bring Bill, we get it.
Yeah, Tia's a must. Got to have Tia. She's my social coordinator. Keeps me straight. So.
Well, you and Billy make a good-looking couple, I gotta say. The beards, I'm sure those tickle a little bit, but
well, that's what they're for. It's that extra. Yeah. It's that extra mile. But speaking of beards, there was a company there called Veteran Barbers for Veterans. It's a nonprofit, and these guys are set up. Where are they set up? Do you remember, Bill?
They have chapters all over the U.S., I believe.
Okay. But they travel around, too. They had a nice little traveling barber shop there, and I got my beard trimmed up. They did a excellent job on my beard, because I was looking like Grizzly Adams.
You were getting there.
Yeah,
yes,
yeah.
You did.
So you both saw me before, was it Sunday when the Antares thing was?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was like way down here, and they did a really nice job making me look good for the Buck Knives booth. So thanks to them for that.
Yeah, we have standards.
That's right.
I figured you did. I saw CJ's beard, and I'm like, I got to work on this. So I got it cleaned up, look respectable. Went out and bought me some suits, because I normally just wear T-shirts and shorts to. So speaking of Buck Knives, let's talk new projects you guys got coming out, latest and greatest.
Yeah, so we had a whole lineup of our new product there at the booth, and that's all actually that was out. So anything that we are introducing this year was sitting out. We did have a little bit of the slims that were introduced towards the end of 2018, and those have just taken off. That entire line has skyrocketed, and we're actually just building them as fast as we can to fulfill orders. Those are based off the traditional 110 and 112 look, but they take on a sleeker, lighter, deep pocket carry clip, new function. So those have been going really well. We introduced the Pursuits, our new hunting line.
Mm-hmm. Nice.
And so those will be available, I want to say, in the middle of February to start purchasing. And then we had, we had our new flipper, our ball bearing flipper.
Talk about that one.
So we have a couple of different levels. We have our Select, which is our kind of our entry level with the poly handles, but they're contoured, they're super comfortable. They have the ball bearing flipper action, and the entry level comes with a 420 HC steel and got some real nice jimping on top of the blade. And then we also have our Pro line, which is we have a micarta, we have a burlap micarta, and S30V steel. Everything's the same size, the same feel, but different materials, high end versus your entry level. And those have gotten really good reception. So we were just talking to sales today about that, and they're doing really well.
Oh, they're so smooth. They're
amazing.
The 840 series, the Sprint. They're called the Sprint, and just outstanding, just amazing.
Is that because they're a real quick
nice
flip?
The kind of how we feel, you can cut stuff with just about anything. So a knife should be fun to play with, and these are so smooth. They're just fun to play with.
Yeah. Another, we're, like you had mentioned earlier, we've got the traditional series that now have ebony inserts. So those were all introduced at SHOT along with Bob Taylor doing a little intro. We've teamed up with Cerakoted down in Medford, Oregon, and we're doing quite a bit there to enhance our value by inserting Cerakoted parts on our products.
So we brought that process internally, and another invitation to you, Marty, is to come out and do a tour of our factory.
That would be phenomenal. Yeah, I would love that.
So we've been embarking on a number of external processes, and we bought the equipment to do that in-house. We have better control, we have better inventory control, better quality control, but we also have better delivery. And one of our customer service goals is delivering product on time. And if you control the process, you've got a better chance of doing that. So not only do you get those better deliveries, it saves you money, but you also have a better result. You have a better process that you now own. And so we brought the Cerakote in-house, a robotic arm. It's a ceramic based paint. It's a bake-on, does an amazing coating. It's a great bearing surface. It's better action, better corrosion resistant. I mean, it adds a lot of function. And the fact that we're doing that in-house is just good. I mean, it's just plain beneficial to us.
Your grandfather would be proud because he says those features have to have functions.
Yes, exactly.
Right?
Yes, sir. Yep. Yeah.
Grandfather approved.
Yeah. No, he would have been all over that. No question about it. That would have been an easy capital expenditure to get the chairman to approve.
So yeah, it'd be good. That would be actually a pretty cool live event, when you and Billy get out here this spring.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
That would be.
Yeah, you can take a look and just see how it works.
Now, a question that I've gotten from a couple of lead heads is, and again, you have to forgive me because knives are new to me, and that's why I wanted to get involved with you guys, because I want to bring a whole new dimension to the show, and I want to talk more knives. Knife education, the steels and the fixed blades versus the flips, and all the benefits and cool things of knives. Kind of like the AK corner that I'm doing now to learn more about AKs. I'd like to do a knife corner. I'll come up with a catchy name for it, but definitely want to get you guys involved with that to educate me and also our listeners, which are my listeners are a lot more educated than I am. The 110 and 112, do they not come with pocket clips?
No, those are both folding lockback knives that come in sheaths.
Okay. Are there plans to put a pocket clip on those?
No.
Nope, not at all. You're going to keep it
No,
traditional.
they're actually too heavy. They're brass, so they're just too heavy. That wouldn't really be functional.
Yeah.
That's why we have come out with those slims, because they're based off of those models, but we wanted people to be able to carry them in their pocket without, having the weight constriction.
Right. Well, there's your answer to that, lead heads. So go for the slim. Still get your 110s and your 112s, but you can also add that slim to it too.
Yeah, it's the same exact blades and same exact inner parts. So it's the same basic strength.
Right.
It's without the weight and without the sheath, because it comes with a clip.
Perfect. And that seems to be the thing people are going after these days is reduced weight. Everybody wants to get lighter because it seems like we're carrying a lot more stuff on our persons with the cell phones and the chargers and the cords and, your EDC, your pocket, your flashlight, your pocket knife, your flashlights, your firearm for, those concealed carry guys like me. So it's nice to get lighter, take up less real estate on your belt and your pockets.
That's right.
Well, now, one question I had. How long have you guys been doing the 110 autos? Because I never thought that blade would ever come out in an auto, and that's really freaking cool to me to see that feature.
Yeah, we introduced that in the tail end of 2014.
So I've been way behind the curve on that one. Sorry.
It took us a while. There's a lot of dialing in. There's a lot of function in a lockback that it was difficult. A lot of people have been customizing our folding hunter into an automatic knife. And if you do that stuff one at a time, you can dial it in. When you try and put something in a production context, it took a lot more design and development on our part. So they haven't been widely distributed until the last couple of years.
Yeah, and the 112 is fairly new.
And the 112 was 2018, I think.
Yeah, last year.
We introduced it last year.
Cool. And that is the Ranger? Is that the 112?
Yes, the 112 is the Ranger. I think a lot of people really like the 110 and 112 as an automatic because the same weight we were talking about earlier, why it wouldn't be good with a clip because it's too heavy. Right. When you push the button and fire an automatic knife, you don't want that torque to feel like the knife's going to come out of your hand. Right. The weight of that brass makes the knife really a pleasure to open. It's almost like shooting a heavier rifle. It just eats up some of that momentum, and it just feels
smooth,
more comfortable. Yes.
Yeah, it's very smooth.
Yeah, I agree. I was playing with them at the booth and completely agree with that. Where's that music coming?
Oh, I'm sorry. I've got Quigley Down Under in the background. I can't hear it because I've got my headphones on.
I'm just glad it was you, Lefty, that had everything going on, because it was like I figured you were cursing under your breath, like, who was doing this?
Who's playing the music?
I wish y'all would have said something to me earlier because I've got the headphones on and I couldn't hear. So
it only got loud right there at the end.
Yeah,
it's been super light earlier.
Well, dadgummit. So there you go, guys. You get a little background Quigley Down Under for 282. Talking about 282. So. Well, let's do this to make it up to our listeners for my stupidity and keeping my Quigley Down Under running. Let's go ahead and Bill, Chris,
yes,
EDC Pocket Dump Rewards Program, the Talking Lead, Buck Knives, Streamlight, Fleoa Rewards Program that we're offering to our listeners exclusively. And we've had, since we got on everybody's butt to participate, we've gotten a lot more participation, and they keep rolling in. So let's give one away today. What do you say?
Let's do it.
Sounds good.
So have you explained to CJ what we're doing, Brooksy?
No, it was a need-to-know basis.
Okay.
So don't tell them.
Okay. So I'm not going to tell you what's happening.
So what are we doing?
So as you listeners know, and you new listeners, we'll fill you in briefly on what's going on. So we're running, I guess it would be an awareness or a I don't know what you would call it, but what we're wanting to promote the cohesiveness between our sheepdog, which would be our fire department, our law enforcement officers, our first responders, and the civilians. So we're asking our listeners that are civilians to go and visit their local police station, fire department station, first responders, wherever it may be, or if they see them out in public, just go up, shake their hand, tell them how much they appreciate their service and everything that they do for our community. And then on the transverse of that, we're asking the sheepdog, as they're out in public, just to approach civilians and just take a selfie, shake their hand, introduce yourself, let them know you're there to serve and protect. And that's all we're asking. We just want to counteract the negativity that the media has put out there against our law enforcement, fire department, first responders, and showing them in a negative light. So what we're asking you to do is take a selfie, post it on Instagram, Facebook, social media. I've even given you archaic people who don't have those accounts the opportunity to take part as well. You can email me pictures, and we've had people that have taken advantage of that. But it's one caveat. I get to post them. So I'm going to post them if you send them to me to be eligible. If you don't want me to post them, you're not eligible. So that's the only the stipulation there. And we've had great response. Last week, was it Doug Cross that was the winner, or last episode?
Doug Cross, yes.
Yeah, Doug Cross was the winner last episode. And we're going to go through here, and I think who I'd like to pick this week, this gentleman actually took his children with him. So he's got 2 daughters, and they went to their local fire department, and not only did they take pictures, but he did some video as well, interacting with the folks there at the fire station. And the winner is, drumroll please, Kenneth McGee. Kenneth McGee, you are the winner of this episode's EDC Pocket Dump Rewards program from Buck Knives, Streamlight, Talking Lead, and Fleoa. And, we're giving away a watch, too, CJ. You remember Jeremy Smith?
I do.
Defy Watches, Fleoa has a nice stock of the Battlefields, and Bill has donated those for this program as well. So you get a Streamlight flashlight. You get a Buck Knives. It's the
Blue Line Spitfire.
Blue Line Spitfire.
Oh, nice.
And,
good choice.
And a Defy Battlefield watch. So somewhere in the neighborhood of $250, $300 package that we're giving away, and we're doing 10 of those. 5 civilian, 5 sheepdog. So our civilian winner is Kenneth McGee this week. So you sheepdog got to pick it up. I've not seen many of those posted, so I want to see those from you guys. You're eligible as well. You got anything to add to that, Bill?
No, they're doing a great job. Keep it up, Leadheads. I want to see more. Appreciate all the support and involvement, and can't wait to see what comes down the line here.
There you go. Very good. And Kenneth, talkinglead@gmail.com. You're going to have to shoot me your contact info, and I'll get that over to Bill, and he'll get you your reward program. And we had lots of other people. We had Wesley Abshire, Patrick Lynch, Spence Tyler. He did a volunteer fire department and a first responder. Kirk Lawson, he's an emailer. Greg Novak, he's an emailer. I just need you guys to respond to me and give me the thumbs up that I can repost those. But from this point forward, if you send me an email with your picture, it's getting reposted. That just giving me your consent by doing that. So I'll just say it now. Yeah. There you go. So guys, great show. Is there anything else that you guys want to cover before we sign off?
No, it was great. Really enjoyed meeting you at SHOT Show. It was a ton of fun. Really brought a lot of interest and energy to the booth, and so it was just a ton of fun.
Well, that's what we set out to do. So mission accomplished.
Must have been good if CJ has already invited you for next year.
And he did it officially on air. Wow.
Yeah.
I did.
Yeah, we'll talk about that later.
Yeah, I have to talk to my editor, right?
The fine printing.
Here, right?
That's right.
The fine print is. So, big thanks to all the companies that make the Talking Lead podcast possible. Make sure you go visit Right On Optics, the official optics of Talking Lead. Right On, RITON, optics.com. Modern Spartan Systems for all your gun cleaning and lubrication needs. Modern Spartan Systems got you covered. Go check out our buddies at modernspartansystems.com. Kel-Tec. They've got, and we didn't get Kel-Tec on this year at SHOT Show. That's a first. I know Chad came by a couple of times, and we were just like completely full. But we did a show with Chad a couple of previous episodes, so he kind of got us caught up on the latest and greatest. But it's always a good time to have Chad on, and you know we'll have him on again soon. Kel-Tec Weapons, check them out, keltecweapons.com. 1776 United, the official swag of Talking Lead. You guys go get your Talking Lead t-shirts, your Leadhead Brigade t-shirts, your patches at 1776united.com. And then, of course, Bill, CJ, Chris, your evil black assault mugs, the Talking Leady. Better than a Yeti, the Talking Leady. Keeps your drinks minutes colder or hotter than a Yeti. Don't be a snowflake. Get your Talking Leady. You like that?
I do. I like that.
Go to dip123.com/Talking Lead. And we've got 2 different sizes there right now that you can get, and they're the same price. So go inundate Danny and agitate him by ordering all those cups.
There we go. He'll love it.
That'll make it. And again, big thanks to Danny for the shirts. He did the Talking Lead official Leadquarter Buck Knives t-shirts this year. So big thanks to Danny for those.
Modern Spartan Systems for all your gun cleaning, gun lubing, gun optimizing products. Check out modernspartansystems.com.
I gotta give a shout out to Buck Knives and the Interiors Alliance and everybody who donated. Kel-Tec, CJ, all those that threw in for the silent auction at the Interiors Alliance Tri-Buy. Guys, thank you so much. We raised about $3,000 for the Leola Foundation. Greatly appreciate all your support. Thank you.
Yeah, that was excellent. Glad we could be a part of it.
Already planning next year. Just come from Casey, so we'll be talking more about that one.
And of course, X Steel Target.
Steel Targets.
The best, most affordable AR-500 steel targets on the market today are X Steel Targets. Check them out, xsteeltargets.com. Bud came by the booth. Bud Sanson, he's the owner of X Steel Targets. Had a beard. I didn't recognize him. He came up and didn't really introduce himself, but started talking to me. And I had my Mason pin on, and he's a Mason also. And he's, I didn't know you were a Mason, where you're from. I was like, who is this guy? He's acting like he knows me. And it was Bud. So, Bud, I'm sorry I didn't recognize you with the beard, buddy. But we're going to get Bud on. They've got a lot of new things that they're going to be offering through X Steel Targets as well. They're doing Cerakoting. They're doing laser cutting, so they can custom cut targets. So a lot more services coming from X Steel Targets as well. Guys, that does it for another episode of the Talking Lead podcast. As always, Leadheads, keep your loved ones close.
And your firearms closer.
And your buck knives in your pocket.
Perfect.